All right. Welcome back to another episode of Three Gyms Talk Hockey. I'm tuning in from a completely different continent from all these guys. I'm currently in Europe, in Greece. Milko, JP, and Dozer are still in the United States. So a little bit of time difference, but when there's a will, there's a way. We don't got too much to talk about, but we definitely got some stuff to talk about. First and foremost, Macklin Celebrini. Last time we spoke, Leo Carlson just made himself the highest paid player in the NHL, in NHL history, as a matter of fact. And at the time of this recording, Macklin Celebrini is now the new highest paid player in NHL history. He just signed a 5-year, $18.8 million a year contract with San Jose. I mean, we spoke a little bit about this last week. 5 years is the new norm amongst these youngsters, what they want to sign for. It's a mid-level deal, and it puts them in a perfect position to sign a second massive contract in the midst of their prime, something we discussed a little bit about last week. But I kind of want to get right into our thoughts over here. Macklin Celebrini, new contract, obviously had one hell of a sophomore season when a lot of people talk about a sophomore slump. He's the new cover athlete of NHL 27 and now has bragging rights over pretty much every single player in NHL history in terms of money. So, fellas, let's hear your thoughts.
I mean, let's just look back on the year that Macklin Celebrini's had. He was like a MVP runner-up or finalist. Basically,
Incorrect. He should have been.
He was the leading goal scorer on Canada, I believe, at the Olympics. Averaged over a point per game at the Olympics. Again, like you just mentioned, cover athlete. Most likely, I'd be surprised if they. I feel like I'd be surprised if they don't end up giving him the C at the beginning of this year, and signs a massive deal. I feel like this is great timing by the Sharks. I know last podcast I mentioned, how important it is to get these younger players signed earlier, or else the way the market's trending, everything's just going to keep getting higher and higher. And I think it's a great deal on both sides. I think Celebrini could have easily asked for that $20 million average range. So in a sense, you could kind of say he took a pay cut, even though now he's going to be the highest paid player in the league. The Sharks, their cap situation looks great, even though they have, this massive one on the books now. But all around grade A, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy you just got to give a blank check to. I don't even know how old he is, 21, 22 years old, putting up 115 points.
Celebrini's 19.
Yeah, I don't even think he's 20
years
yet.
old.
He's not even 21. Oh my God. But you're next to McDavid and McKinnon and Kucherov in the point standings after your second year in the NHL. You give him the blank check and you don't think twice about it. Even if it's only 5 years, you give him whatever he wants and you keep him on your team for as long as you can.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Greer literally came out and said, I was expecting for him to ask for a quote-unquote max contract.
Yeah.
And right now, with the way that the salary cap is trending, that's 20% of the salary cap. That's $20.8 million a season. He's getting 18.8. So in other words, he's leaving $10 million on the table for this contract, $2 million a season. And like you said, Dozer, not only is he just 19 years old, but he recorded 115 points last season. That's the third most by a teenager in NHL history, only behind the great one and the next one, Wayne Gretzky and Sidney Crosby. So there's not much more that you could say. For God's sakes, give him a blank check. And he still decided hey, I'll help the team out a little bit. So we spoke a little bit about this last pod, how Macklin Celebrini came out and said, yeah, I'll take a pay cut, help San Jose win, give him a little bit more flexibility in terms of the cap. And you might be like, oh, well, how do you take a pay cut if he's the highest paid player in the NHL? Like I just said, he's leaving $2 million on the table. You could do a decent number with $2 million, especially with the way that the cap is trending upwards. Because if you were to sign next season, that max value only goes up just a little bit more, but it still goes up. So Macklin Celebrini, his cap hit the percentage of the cap is 16.56% of the cap. And he was first, obviously led San Jose in points, but Will Smith was second on the team in points with 59, meaning Macklin Celebrini had 56 more points than the second leading point getter on San Jose last year. He wasn't even MVP Hart Trophy finalist last year. And I think that's a joke in itself. I think he should have won the trophy, let alone not even being a finalist. So Macklin Celebrini, round of applause. I mean, for a 19-year-old, I could only imagine what kind of summer this guy's having, knowing that he's set for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I'm kind of pointing out the obvious here, but now that they have him locked up, the Sharks don't have to worry about any offer sheet deals coming through. So they're not getting, screwed by these other teams who obviously would want a grade A talent like Macklin. Like, I bet you if he went into next summer without a contract, teams would be lining up to offer sheet him. They probably wouldn't even care. They'd throw him like $25 million a year just because they know how. I mean, we all know how important a two-way center is. Never mind the next Crosby-esque prospect. So, the Sharks do a great job of not only not having to pay him. I mean, they're paying him top dollar, but they're not getting killed by the cap, and they don't have to worry about getting offer sheeted. And, you see what happened with the Ducks and Leo. They completely avoid that situation too.
Yeah, I mean, push comes to shove. Like, Macklin Celebrini is a generational talent. I'm not going to sit here and compare him to Sidney Crosby and say, oh, he's the next Crosby, because it's still a little like he's very comparable to Crosby, but I wouldn't go that far just yet. I want to see a few more years out of him. Crosby-esque. Exactly. But push comes to shove, like, he is nowhere. He's in another, like, he's in another world. I mean, you had guys saying, oh, I'd rather build a team over Connor Bedard when they were both obviously just getting into the league, which they still are just getting into the league, but now it's a no-brainer. If you were to start a team tomorrow, who are you picking? Celebrini, Bedard, or some other youngster? There is no question in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going Celebrini as well, just based on the potential you've seen. I mean, Bedard still definitely has that 100-point upside, potential 50-goal scorer, but as of the pace you're seeing in development and growth, Celebrini's on a whole different level right now.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, it's also just the well-rounded game that he has. Like, he's too good to be a teenager. Like, could you imagine this? This kid's 19 years old. He's younger than most NCAA D1 freshmen, and he's out here dunking on NHL players, just completely toasting guys that have been in the NHL for arguably longer than he's been, or playing pro hockey, playing high competitive hockey longer than he's been alive. But I kind of want to take a little shift over. And Dud, you said that this contract is a good contract, but push comes to shove, I think that this is still a steal. Like, I want to hear your guys' kind of thoughts on that. And how would you grade this contract? What Mike Greer has done with Macklin Celebrini, also given the other guys that he has to put pen to paper with in the coming seasons?
I think you gotta give it an A. Like, no matter what it is, you lock up your guy, you lock up your franchise piece and build it around, and you figure out the rest. Like you said, they have so many other young players they gotta re-sign in the coming up years, but Celebrini's one of one. The rest of the guys you could figure out later. You got to trade one of them to make the cap work. You make the cap work. You still have Celebrini at the end of the day, and he's still going to bring your team to at least the playoffs. He almost did it single-handedly last year. Like you said, he had 60 points, more than the second highest guy. So Will Smith, if he's asking for too much, you could trade him and get prospects back, or if they're in like a playoff contending mode, you could go get a defenseman on a cheaper AAV and build up the rest of your team.
Yeah, Dozer, I completely agree. I feel like you have to give this contract an A just because of the rare talent that Celebrini is, and you can't pass up a guy like that. I would give some of their other contracts something a little different grades. Like, I don't love their Trouba contract. And then I know Solon, that I talked about this with you off camera the other week, but I was like, all right, Celebrini just got 18.8. Bedard just got 15. Leo just got 18. Like, I'm wondering what Will Smith's going to ask for now, because I feel like he's a top 6 forward, obviously, with the potential to be a 1A, 1B center. Like, I could see Will Smith asking for $14-15 million a year too. And you know, that might be a little much considering what you've seen from him so far, but I don't see why he wouldn't ask for something like that. And I don't see why the Sharks wouldn't also give it to him if they have the cap, which is why I also don't love the Trouba deal because I feel like they gave him too much money.
In terms of Will Smith, I agree. I'm very intrigued to see what he asked for. Do I think that 14-15 might be a little bit much right now? 110%. And that's based off the small showing that we've seen from him so far. As I just mentioned, he had 59 points this season. I don't think you're going to give a 60-point guy $14 million a season.
But how many games did he play in? I know he wasn't healthy for all 82.
Actually, let's double check that right now. I know he was hurt for a few games, or a decent chunk, I should say. He played 69 games, so he had 59 and 69. So he was just under a point per game.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Will Smith also, he's a different type of player. I completely agree. I think that he's gonna ask for a decent chunk, but if you're Mike Greer, you also have to take into consideration you just got rid of Will Eklund, so he's off your plate.
Mm-hmm.
You just drafted Ivan Stenberg, who for the next 3 years you have him locked up at just over $1 million a year with the new entry-level contract, maximum, excuse me. But push comes to shove, Will Smith is that kind of player, but I'm still waiting to see him prove it at the NHL level. 60 points is not too shabby, but I also don't think that it's worth giving him that much just yet. Now, I pose a question to you guys. If you're Will Smith, rather than a 5-year contract, would you sign a 2 or 3 year deal worth, let's say, $10 million and kind of like approve it, and then on your following contract, sign 5-6 years at whatever that number may be, that increase?
That's a good question. I feel like what, he was a top 5 pick, right? So
he was 4 the year before Celebrini, so in 23.
If I'm Will Smith and I'm trying to get as much money as possible, I'm waiting until the end of this season to sign a deal, and that is when I would probably look towards taking a deal like Macklin, because I feel like he could probably push for one rather than a bridge deal where he'd just get a cheaper option, but then he would be out of the contract quicker. From the Sharks' perspective, though, I feel like if I'm the Sharks, I want to try to lock him down before this next season comes up, because then his price is just going to keep going up too.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I will bring up is Logan Couture. His contract is officially off the books after this season, so that also opens up another $8 million in cap. That $8 million is very useful money. And then you have some other guys that are, or Dmitry Orlov, he's got 6'5" coming off the books next season too. So San Jose definitely has some contract money coming off the books, but like you said, they have a Jacob Trouba deal, a Darnell Nurse deal that they're paying out that could kind of screw them in the later stages. But in terms of the young guys, very, very intrigued to see how Mike Greer kind of goes from the Macklin Celebrini extreme to the, hey, how are we going to take care of the next 3 guys? Because Sam Dickinson is coming off of his entry-level deal this season as well. So figure that's another player that you got to pay, because San Jose is very loaded up front, but they don't have much on the back end. Obviously, they have guys signed for years, but not young guys signed. So taking a shift into the back end, what do you do if you're San Jose with the defense? Because right now, like, you have guys in their 30s kind of running ship, which is okay for the time being, but Macklin Celebrini signed for 5 years. So what are you going to do? You're going to have a decor in their late 30s?
That's also why I mentioned if you have to trade someone, you trade him for a defenseman, because that's really the only place they don't really have set up for the future here. Like you said, they have Sam Dickinson. He hasn't really proved much. Like, he's an NHL defenseman, stable right now for sure, but you got Nurse and you got Truba. You're paying like 18 million combined, who are two, I don't know, brick shit houses. But like, other than that, you got Michael Kesselring, who I like, but like nothing really to write home about there. And you got to, I feel like if you really want to be a contender, you got to lock up your second pair. Like you don't really have a deep defense core at all. You have an amazing young top six that could carry the load for the next 5 years, but if you don't got defense in front of your goalies, it's never going to work. Just like you look at the Edmonton Oilers.
And then you just mentioned right there goaltending. Yaroslav Askarov, he's in the final year of his contract, so he's going to be a restricted free agent next year. So now you have question marks not only on the blue line, but in the blue paint. So if you're San Jose, like you said, a contender, you need defense, you need goaltending. You kind of need a very well-rounded team. And right now I'm looking at San Jose and I'm like, wow, they're a very scary team up front. But then you kind of take a step back and you're like, ooh, there's a lot of question marks on the blue line and the blue paint, as I just said. So I love this team. I think that their future is very bright, but I'm going to play devil's advocate over here and say that it might not be as bright as people think after the two signings that we've mentioned a few times just now in Trouba and Darnell Nurse, and then not having a long-term goalie, because I don't think Askarov has proved himself as a starting goalie in the NHL or as a superstar goalie. He's only 24, so he's still very young, still has time to grow and develop, but there are no guarantees. So I feel like this San Jose team has a lot of question marks. So those are back to your point in terms of the trades. It might be a few guys getting moved, kind of like another Will Eklund situation where you have to move guys and fill in the gaps, because a guy like Macklin Celebrini, he's worth 3 players. So Macklin Celebrini, you give him that solid line, that Will Smith as a wing pair, whatever the case is. They build that chemistry, that 1-2 punch, and you kind of just got to fill in the gaps and do what you got to do. But don't put yourself in the Edmonton Oilers situation, because that would be very unfortunate. I would hate to see a Celebrini prime getting wasted. Not saying that McDavid's prime got wasted, but 2 different players, 2 different teams. So you can't ever really compare. You could almost just foreshadow. But that takes me into my next question. 2027, do you expect San Jose to be in the playoffs?
I don't know if I can say that just yet. There's still a lot of good teams out in the West that are going to be, tough matchups. From even there, from the Pacific Division, you can't take the Knights of the Oilers out of it. I really think it's probably going to be a dogfight between the Sharks and the Kings. I think the Ducks are going to take a little bit of a step back because they lost so many guys in free agency. And, they still have this Cutter Gauthier situation going on. There's just been a lot of drama with the Ducks this offseason. I feel like they're just due for a step back. They obviously, I personally think, overachieved this year, and then going out and beating Edmonton in the first round was exciting to see if you're a Ducks fan. But, if you look at the Kings roster, they have a solid lineup. They've made some good moves, and they have a lot of just veteran guys who know how to win hockey games. So I think if I'm putting my chips in there, I'm going to go between San Jose and the Kings for that last spot in the division.
Yeah, for me personally, Dozer shoot.
I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna make it. And I mean, I was looking at their team and their breakdown, and did they sign Marchment this offseason? Because they have Marchment at 6.75. I did not realize he was locked up for 5 years.
They also sneaky signed Colin Graff to a bridge deal too.
Oh, I saw that. I love Colin Graff, Quinnipiac kid. But yeah, I think they're gonna make it, and I agree. I think the Kings are gonna drop out. I've had the Kings dropping out for a while now, but Kevin Fiala is still coming off that gruesome leg injury from last year, and I don't really like the Kings roster as a whole. They do have Panarin now, my guy, but he's getting older, and that whole team is really like Doughty, like Kopitar's gone, their leader. Like it's an old aging team that I don't really see going much further than what they have been the last few years.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Dozer on this one. I mean, they missed the playoffs by 4 points this year, and if you look at the trajectory of their last 3 seasons, I mean, in 23-24, so the year that they drafted Celebrini when they won the lottery, they had a 19-54-9 record, 47 points. They were last in the West, last in the league. In 24-25, so Celebrini's rookie season, 20 wins, 50 losses, 12 overtime losses. So they improved by a single win. And again, they were last in the West, last in the league. Last season, 39 wins, 35 losses, 8 OT losses, 86 points. So that's an improvement of 34 points. And they were 11th in the West, 24th in the league. As I just mentioned, just missed the playoffs. So they're rapidly going in the right direction. And right now, I feel like Celebrini's got all eyes on him. He clearly loves the spotlight. And I can't really imagine this team taking a step back. And if you don't take a step back, you're either A, missing the playoffs by a point or two, or just sneaking in. Do I expect them to be a top 3 team? Do I expect them to have home ice? Absolutely not. But I definitely expect them to be in the dance. I expect them just to give Mac, Will, and all those young guys a taste of playoff hockey. And you give them those guys a taste and they never want to go back. Like, that's just how it is. You get a taste of NHL playoff hockey and you hate having a long off season. I could only imagine what goes through their heads when they're done playing after 82 games, because you have other guys playing 100 plus when they make the playoffs. So I'm siding with Dozer. Milks, I really hope you lose that bet, because well, you said if you had chips, you'd put them on missing the playoffs. So I hope that if you take them losing or missing the playoffs, you lose that bet, because I'm very in favor of them making it just from the trend that they're going. They're heading in the right direction. You're last in the league 2 years in a row. Absolutely abysmal. 19 wins and 20 wins. Could you imagine being a San Jose Sharks fan? 20 wins? Like, you got nothing to smile about, let alone cheer about.
Anytime their games were broadcasted, their arena was empty. There was nobody there. But I will say I would love to see like a McDavid Celebrini first round matchup. That would be sick to watch.
That would be insane. Could you imagine first time Celebrini makes the playoffs? He's got to go.
If he beat McDavid, it's like, oh god, that would be like ring the bell for McDavid. He's done.
No, I wouldn't.
And then he's coming to Boston to play with Pasta.
You got one guy saying he's going to New York. You got another guy saying he's going to Boston. I'm not even going to throw the Islanders in the mix, because I know that ain't happening. So I'm going to keep my delusions to myself.
I have been DMing McDavid on a consistent basis, and we are in close contact. He said he would come to Boston.
Well, is that a one-way conversation by any chance?
No. Not at all.
Anyways, I mean, look, I think San Jose is trending in an amazing direction. I think Celebrini is very clearly one of the faces of the league already. He's one of the most likable players in the league. And then on top of everything, you see all the training that he's doing in Vancouver this summer. He's training with Michael Misi. He's got Will Smith over there. He's training with his 14-year-old brother, RJ, who's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the next handful of years in the league. So the Celebrinis might just take over the NHL altogether. But going from one really good upcoming, or I guess superstar, he's not even upcoming anymore. He's already a superstar. But I kind of want to bring JP into the conversation. I want JP to join the show for the first time. He got a really cool experience to work the shoulder check showcase just last week on July 30th. And I'll give you guys a rundown. For those of you who don't know what the shoulder check is, Shoulder Check's an annual event for the HT40 Foundation, which is a nonprofit focused on mental health awareness, suicide prevention, and it was founded in 2023 by Rob Thorson and Sarah Thompson in memory of their son, Hayden Thorson. who passed by suicide in May of 2022 at just 16 years old. And their mission is to channel his memory into normalizing peer-to-peer mental health outreach. And this event, which was the fourth one ever, was actually held at Martyr Family Arena at Sacred Heart University, a school that we all graduated from. And it had an abundance of NHL talent. You got Chris Kreider, Trevor Zegras, Spencer Knight, Adam Fox, and a whole lot more. And our producer, JP, he had an amazing experience of being on the ice to help out with this foundation. So we want to welcome him and kind of chat about what this event was about, his experience, and just all around how tight-knit the hockey community is, because all in all, the hockey community is a very tight-knit one, and this is just one of those events that proves it. So JP, an official welcome. How are you doing?
Well, I appreciate the warm welcome. It's nice to turn the camera on. Yeah, I think you touched on that beautifully. The event was awesome. I mean, I was not super familiar with the event before I got asked to work it. And then, as you mentioned, it was at Martiri. So like a super familiar arena that I'd done dozens of games in before, working production. To see the impact that it had on both the players, all the fans that were there, it was awesome. I mean, from the moment I got in there, there was the stars you mentioned. They had some PWHLers who were like awesome. I was sitting in for their interviews. Awesome to hear from them and like what it meant to be on the ice with them. And then again, back to Sacred Heart, they had our guy Felix Trudeau on the ice down with them. So it was absolutely awesome. It was such a sick event to be there and to be a part of. And just to get into a little bit of what the role was, I was the on ice camera. So that just added another level to it because I'm down on the ice with these guys. And just the first thing that comes to mind when I think back on the event is I'm out on the ice and everyone's skating out and they're doing the announcements, and it's like the boxing announcer. They're drumming everyone up. And I'm getting one shot, I forget who of, and Rempe skates out on the ice. And he is so much bigger than anyone else out on the ice. He skates by me. He's like two of me standing next to me. It was just an awesome experience. It was so cool to see all those guys. It was so cool to stand next to them, get those interviews. And it was just an awesome event.
Yeah, just another brick shit house to add to the list there.
I mean, he's head and shoulders. Like I'm here. His shoulders started there. He was huge. And I knew he was big, but it's another perspective because I got my skates on too. I'm feeling good. And no, it was awesome. It was awesome seeing my guy Ryan Leonard was there. You mentioned Fox was there, and all of the guys were just nicest in the world. It wasn't obviously a super serious or competitive environment, but there were some nice goals that were scored, and the boys were skating well. And it was just super cool to see everyone come together, not just the pros, but also like the young guys like Trudeau and then the PWHLers, like all of them out on the same ice, sharing the puck, like playing together. It was just a great time.
So I got a quick question for you. Obviously, your role on the ice was the camera guy, but when you weren't on the ice, what were you doing? Were you sitting on the bench? Were you just like chirping with the boys? What were you doing?
Hey, I did get over to the bench. So when I'm not on the skates, I pretty much get to roam around and go wherever I want. So I was on the bench. I did one of the interviews on the bench with two of the in-house guys who were both awesome, great guys to talk to and work with. And so got one of the interviews on the home bench with their coach, who I'm blanking right now, but we could probably figure that out. And then I also got to be in the penalty box a little bit for some shots. So it was pretty cool. I mean, normally I'm allowed to like skate onto the ice for the anthem and get out of there, but they gave me a little bit more freedom. So I was poking up onto benches. I was getting into the crowd, getting like behind the shots. So it was awesome.
Now, I wasn't able to watch the event, so you just mentioned the penalty box. Were there any guys actually in the penalty box?
Nobody got sent to the penalty box from a penalty on the other team. I totally missed this because, I'm down on the ice. I'm in the action. I think this actually happened when I was on the home bench. But somebody from the green team just went up and tripped their own teammate on the blue line, and the whole crowd loved it. It was awesome. It was a great time. Refs blew the whistle but didn't actually give him a penalty. There was no penalties called. I don't think they called an icing. The format was actually pretty cool. I think it was a good way to keep it rolling. It was two 25-minute halves. And then they had intermissions and like stuff for the fans to do. There was live music. There was food outside. Gritty was there. I got a high five Gritty, which was pretty awesome. So yeah, it was an awesome event. It was a ton of fun.
Hell yeah. I mean, okay, so you mentioned that you weren't really aware of the magnitude of this event. What did you think that you were getting yourself into? Just out of curiosity.
I knew it was a charity event because I'd seen this and talked about it with our director and producer a few weeks in advance. But I'd never watched one of them before or had seen the first three that had happened. And just thinking that it was at Martiri, I figured that it was going to be like shoe guys and younger guys and young prospects that were getting into the league. And then I think Solon sent me this list of all the guys that were playing. And it was a completely different experience to be next to those guys and see all those guys. Like I'm holding doors for pro NHLers to enter Martiri Family Arena and like telling them where the away locker room is. It was like a mind blowing experience at the end of the night, just looking back at it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely puts a different perspective about these players just because first off, they're friendly giants. You see them completely destroying each other within the 60 minutes of a hockey game. Between whistles, it's go, go, go. All they do is just they try to take each other's heads off. But then you see him in a setting like this, and you really realize, like you mentioned Matt Rempe, what is he, 6'8", 6'7"? Yeah, and he's a friendly giant. You saw like social media posts of him signing stuff and whatnot, and these guys are humans too. They're like the event is for. They're there for one another above all. And the same way that we could turn to one another as former teammates, as friends, it's like these guys too. It's like it doesn't matter who you're playing for come seasons. It's the off season. It's a good cause, and these guys are there for one another, doing what everybody should be doing for one another. So one thing that I will say is I'm actually very upset that I'm in Greece. I can't believe I'm actually saying that because I wanted the opportunity to work that event. I know what it's about. I've followed it over the last couple of years, and it's really cool to have it at an arena that all of us are familiar with, at least the three of us. Me, Michael, and Matt were very fortunate enough to play there for 2.5 seasons. And just to know that arena will most likely be used in the future for this event it's cool and warming more than anything, just because A, it's a beautiful facility, B, it's an awesome cause, and C, it also puts a lot of eyes just on the game itself. Connecticut doesn't have a professional hockey team, but they have a lot of talent coming out of that state. And JP, you saw that firsthand. I'm not sure if you're really familiar with how many of those guys are from Connecticut, but you have guys like Trevor Zegras, whose dad is actually a director of Mid-Fairfield, the Mid-Fairfield Junior Rangers, which was the organization which Hayden played for.
Yeah, so there's nasty.
There's a lot of cool connections, and as Milko just said, they are really nasty. So really,
that's where Martin
really
St. Louis coached too.
That is true.
Before he went to the Habs. Well, he probably went somewhere between then, but
nope.
I remember seeing him behind the bench coaching that team.
Went straight from 14U to the show.
Yeah, like that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And actually, funny story about that. Marty St. Louis was like pretty much ready to tell Montreal, like, dude, give me league minimum, whatever the league minimum is for a coach. He goes, I just want an opportunity. And I think
I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of coaching my son and his fucking kids.
I mean, A, he could have said that. B, he actually did a very good job with those kids. So nonetheless, he's doing something right at both levels.
Yeah, and I'm going back through my camera roll too, and I sent you guys some of these, but like they had all the trophies out there. They had a bunch of like old memorabilia from guys. I think they had like one of the Tkachuk brothers' mouth guards was there, which everyone was like laughing at and pointing at.
And I have a question: was you chewed up?
Yeah, it looked like one of mine.
It was definitely Matty Tkachuk's.
Yeah. And they had I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but Jack Plant. He was the first ever goalie to use a hockey mask. They had the mask there, and I'll probably put the picture up right here. But it's just unreal to think about he was the first one to use a mask, and his coach didn't want him to use it except in practice because he thought it messed up his vision.
Messed up his vision and makes him look like a sissy. But yeah,
pussy.
Jacques Plant is the pronunciation. I was gonna say, butchered or not, I think everyone got the gist of what you were saying. But anything outside of what we just spoke about that really stood out to you, just from the concourse to the on ice presentations, just the event itself, was there one specific thing that really stood out to you?
The biggest thing, all in all, and I mean, you kind of touched on it there with the local guys, but everyone was showing so much love to all these pro players. I mean, the stadium was packed. I think it was close to sold out, like 3,000 plus. So the stands looked awesome. There was people everywhere, kids running around, just loving the events. And you could see how much love, like you just mentioned, there's not a pro team in Connecticut, but we got all these teams nearby that are awesome, and all these fans that love the sport so much that came out and enjoyed a day to just celebrate the sport and celebrate each other. So it was awesome to see the community come together. And even if you're a Flyers fan and normally you're getting a little roughed up, you'd walk in there and you'd be like, there's my guy on the ice, and there's a friend that watches hockey with me. And that's really what the event's all about. It's checking in with the community and checking in on your teammates and your brothers. And it was awesome to see that.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that you mentioned off camera that I'd love for you to touch up on, you said that pre-event start or pre-game, whatever you want to consider it, they had a nice little video tribute. I kind of walk us through that. What was that whole thing like? Obviously, being down on the ice and really just getting a full 360 view of what was going on in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, so all the guys skated out. They had the anthem singer was actually your guy John Brancy, who he's got a wonderful set of pipes on him. He's a great singer. So he came out, sang the anthem, and then the chairman of the charity came out and just gave like a short speech, 2 minutes, about how important it is to not just go through the motions of practice and games, because you never really know what's going on with anyone's lives. And then there was a moment where he asked everyone in the stadium to reach out and grab the left shoulder of the guy next to you, and being on the ice. And I got the shot of just going around and everyone in the stands. And it was like chills, like realizing how much this community means to each other. And when the community is supporting each other, what that looks like. So it was awesome. It was like, I'm getting chills thinking about it.
Yeah, no. And then kind of fast forward to next summer, 5th annual, they ask you to work the event again. What's your answer?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, all in all, I know the four of us all played hockey, all at different levels. At least 3 of us played together. UJP, you played in high school. We had a few men's league tilts together. But yeah, hockey's one of those games. I've always said it. I will always stand by it. It's the tightest knit community. I've met kids in Minnesota that are from Philadelphia, run into somebody in Connecticut that is like, oh, how do you know this guy? And she's like, oh, I met him in Minnesota. Oh, well, I know him from the Jersey Shore. It's just like, dude, what? And that's what hockey is. Hockey's one of those games where kind of once you're in it, you're in it. It's hard to get out, and it shows. It shows with these guys, the Trevor Zegrases, the Spencer Knights. They all grew up playing together, whether it was travel, juniors, you name it. So all these guys coming together, playing for the bigger pick, for something bigger than themselves. I think that's a really good representation of what hockey is, what the community's about. And at the end of the day, if you punch each other in the face, you sit in a box for 5 minutes and you're friends. You're friends after that final horn. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what more there is to add in terms of this event. Obviously, it's not the situation that you want people to come together for, but for a tragic event, I feel like what was made of it is better than what majority of people would have done or what many people would have thought it could become. So the HT40 Foundation, me and Dozer, I'm not sure if you know this, Dozer, but we've had a couple high school teammates that actually played on the team with that kid. So I know that we have a few people that had a personal connection with him. So that's another reason why I was drawn to this event. And yeah, Yeah, unbelievable event, unbelievable execution. JP, you had part in something that was on NHL Network. So that's something to be proud of. You did a great job. Saw you on a few local channel clips in the back holding that camera. And and I'll tell you this much, if you drop that camera, I don't think you have the money in your bank account to replace it. So
No, and it had been a few months since I'd been on ice with it. So first time getting out there, I was a little shaky, but got right back to it. And yeah, I mean, afterwards, it's the best going on Instagram, and Gritty has a post, and I'm in the background of one of Gritty's posts, and it's like you don't work many events where you get stuff like that. So the community, what it was, and what it means is just, it was awesome. And next time they have it, I'm going to reach out and say, I'll be right there.
Oh yeah,
to keep your
awesome.
keeping up with all these players and the speed.
Yeah, actually, when I was skating like next to them during their warm-ups, I thought I was doing pretty well. They definitely were not going all out. They were definitely not.
All right, one final question, and then we'll wrap up. But was there one player whose shot you were like, oh man?
There was not too many, like they weren't taking clappers from the point. Like they were trying to, I felt bad for the goalie because it was a lot of like short passes. So let me pull up the roster real quick. I know it was Will Smith, actually, who we talked about earlier. He had a few nice passes right around the goal where it was just the goalie had no chance. And by the end of it, I was feeling bad for the goal. I mean, I think the final was like 13-9 or something. So it was a little bit of a slaughter for the goalies. But
I was out there.
These guys never played together.
Shout out Chigs.
I hope he's watching.
These guys never played together, but they just knew where they were going to be, and so it was just awesome to witness that and just be so close to it.
Seekers do any Michigans?
No. I don't know if there was an attempt. I was looking for that too. I don't think anyone attempted it, but if they did, I must have missed it.
It's a fast-paced game, JP. You got to keep your head on a swivel. But
you're right. Rempy might run you over if you're not paying attention.
Rempy's trying to Michigan.
Well, yeah, it's that was definitely my main concern, was just keeping the camera low.
Well, I mean, that pretty much sums up the episode for today. Not much going on right now, but Macklin Celebrini, highest paid player in the NHL. JP had an unbelievable experience that I was very, very happy that we were able to touch up on. JP, thank you for making your first, and I doubt it will be your last appearance on the show, should I mention on camera, because JP has been doing a lot for us behind the scenes. But that pretty much wraps up another episode of the Three Gems Talk Hockey podcast. I'm Saul Mijas alongside Michael Cardoza, Matt Milko, and our boy James Peters, a.k.a. JP. Till next time, peace.